When the smoke clears from a modern battlefield and the roar of the engines fades into the distance, a silence settles over the landscape. To the naked eye, the war is over. The tanks are husks of burnt steel, and the craters are filling with dust. But in the air and in the soil, something remains, something invisible, something that does not sleep and does not decay for billions of years. Welcome to the portal, where myths, nightmares, and mysteries are just one step away. My name is Epoch, and I will be your guide. To preserve the light, we must first face the dark. The ghost on the battlefield. This is the era of the silver bullet. It is the legacy of depleted uranium, or DU. It is a byproduct of the nuclear power industry, repurposed by the military into the most effective armor-piercing ammunition ever created. But the true horror of DU is not what it does at the moment of impact. It is what it does after. It is a weapon that transforms a battlefield into a toxic wasteland, poisoning the victors, the defeated, and the generations yet to be born. Tonight, we are treading into the cold, radioactive darkness of modern alchemy. The Alchemy of the Shell. To understand the danger, we must understand the metal. Uranium is one of the heaviest elements on the periodic table. When scientists enrich uranium for nuclear fuel, they are left with a waste product, uranium-238. This is depleted uranium. It is 1.7 times denser than lead. Because it is so heavy and so dense, it possesses a terrifying amount of kinetic energy. When a DU sabot round is fired from a tank, it travels at over 1,500 meters per second. But it has a secondary, wrong property. It is pyrophoric. Unlike lead, which flattens when it hits a target, depleted uranium self-sharpens. As it carves through tank armor, the friction causes the metal to spontaneously ignite. It does not just punch a hole, it melts its way through, reaching temperatures of over 3,000 degrees Celsius. The interior of the target tank becomes a furnace of liquid fire. Everything and everyone inside is vaporized in a microsecond. But the fire creates a new, more permanent nightmare. If you have watched this far, remember to subscribe, like, and comment what would you like to see next. The black dust. At the moment of impact, up to 70% of the depleted uranium rod is instantly aerosolized. It turns into an ultra-fine, black ceramic dust. This dust is so light that it can be carried by the wind for tens of miles. It settles on the ground, it coats the trees, and it seeps into the groundwater. And then people breathe it in. This is where the cold horror begins. Inside the human body, DU is a double threat. First, it is a heavy metal poison, similar to lead or mercury, but much more aggressive. It targets the kidneys and the nervous system. Second, it is a source of alpha radiation. While alpha particles cannot penetrate your skin, if you inhale a microscopic grain of DU dust, that grain becomes a permanent resident in your lung tissue or your bone marrow. It sits there, day after day, year after year, firing high-energy particles into your DNA. It is a silent, internal fire that never goes out. The harvest of Basra and Fallujah. The most chilling evidence of the DU legacy comes from the battlefields of the Gulf War, the Balkans, and the Iraq War. In cities like Basra and Fallujah, where thousands of DU rounds were expended, the medical statistics began to shift in the years following the conflicts. Doctors reported a massive spike in rare cancers, particularly leukemia, among both civilians and returning veterans. But the most heartbreaking effect is what scientists call teratogenic effects, birth defects. In the decade following the 2003 invasion, the rate of congenital malformations in these regions skyrocketed. Children were born with missing limbs, neurological disorders, and cancers that were previously unheard of in infants. The DU dust had become part of the environment. It was in the bread they ate, the water they drank, and the dust the children played in. The war had ended, but the ammunition was still fighting. It was attacking the future, one cell at a time. The eternal half-life. The military often argues that depleted uranium is low-level radiation, and that the risk is minimal compared to the necessity of winning a war. But biology does not care about military necessity. The half-life of uranium-238 is 4.5 billion years. To put that in perspective, that is roughly the age of the Earth. Once a DU round is fired and aerosolized, that battlefield is, for all intents and purposes, permanently contaminated. We are leaving behind a landscape of hot zones that will remain toxic long after our civilizations have crumbled into dust. We have created a weapon that has no off switch. We have littered the planet with silver bullets that wait in the soil, patient, silent, and lethal for an eternity. The cost of the light. We started this channel with a phrase, "To preserve the light, we must first face the dark." In the case of depleted uranium, the darkness is literal. It is the waste product of our search for energy, turned into a tool for our search for power. It is the ultimate example of a dark history being written in the present moment. As we look toward the future of warfare, with even more advanced high-density alloys, we must ask ourselves, what is the true cost of victory? Is it a victory if the land you liberate becomes a graveyard for the next 1,000 generations? The ghosts of the battlefield are no longer just spirits. They are isotopes, and they are waiting. Thank you for treading in this cold darkness with me. If you found this deep dive important, please subscribe, share this video, and join our community. The more we know, the less we can be kept in the dark.
Let us now step back into the portal and go to our segment of time and space. If you would like to see a longer video about what we went through today, or if you would like to see another specific video, leave it in the comments. Feel free to check any of our previous voyages on screen. My name was Epoch, and I will see you again on one side. or the other. Farewell.